Hello and welcome to Season of War. Alex and I are back at you tonight with another matchup of Age of Sigmar. We have an interesting game today as the Flesh-Eater Courts face up against the Idoneth Deepkin. A matchup voted on by our premium members, choosing for me to play Deepkin in this match. So again, what they wanted to see on the table.
It's extra exciting too because it's going to be today the Battle of the Net lists. We're both running lists that we found online, sort of in the popular meta discussion right now. Jordan's running the iNet list from the recent MetaWatch issue, and I'm running the nuclear Vargulf list that sort of popped up.
The Smash Bat, as it's being popularly called. But in addition to getting to help choose our matchups and what we're doing on the channel, our premium members are also helping us with some of our membership goals that'll help us improve and grow the channel. We've recently unlocked 2 new terrain tables that we're working on right now to hit the channel soon, hopefully. As well, we'll soon be unlocking the goal to help us invest in better audio equipment. Again, just trying to continually improve things. So with your guys' help, we'll continue to make everything bigger and better and just keep pushing the limit of kind of how far we can take things, and really just wanting the best quality battle reports that we can possibly make for you guys. So if you want to help out and be a part of that, you can check out our premium membership by hitting the join button below this video, and that'll teach you a little bit more, show you some of the perks, and give you the opportunity to have your say and jump in with what we're doing. Now, before we get into lists, the mission we're playing today is Force in the Hand in the realm of Ghyran. So 6 objectives. On our turn, our opponent has to choose one of their own objectives to be worth 3 points. All the others are worth 1. So potentially, able to get some bonus points if you can get that one. And we both are pretty quick here, so might see some 3-point objectives getting taken. As well, I just want to mention, as we're all in different, lockdowns and social situations around the world, just give a shout out to all the friendly local game stores. Again, supporting those stores and the local community. I want to give a big shout out to X-Planet, our local friendly game store, who is owned and run by our competitive teammate, a good friend of ours. So just kind of partnering with him, want to give a shout out there, as obviously right now with everything going on in the world, all the stores like that are struggling. So helping out, buying from those guys is always a big help, especially support the stores that you play at and the communities that you're a part of. With all that said, though, do you want to take me through your list first?
All right. So my list is running 2 of the same Royal Mordants battalions, which is a unit of 10 ghouls, a unit of 3 horrors, a unit of 3 flayers, and a Vargulf. And then the same over here, 3 horrors, 3 flayers, 10 ghouls, and a Vargulf. And then just a horrid archregent off lonely by himself. He's not a part of a battalion.
Yeah.
So I was 3 drops. I've dropped you. Starting with 3 command points plus a 4th on my turn.
Yeah. So what are the kind of tricks of this list? Now it's called the Smash Bat. So do you want to take me through some of the specific parts of this build? So
the Vargulf can make one of the units from their particular battalion move in the hero phase, in addition to moving in the movement phase. So you can basically slingshot something across the board.
Nice.
And then the other sort of trick that it has is the Vargulf, who is the general, has a command trait to add +1 attack and damage if he's near a hero with an artifact. He's another trait, or just ability. If he's near 10 models, he gets +2 attacks. You can give him plus attacks from the Archregent, and then he has an artifact that he can pop once a game to give himself +2 attacks. So if you add all that up, you can give him +9 attacks or 8 attacks, +1 damage, and he can blow up one thing real good and then pile in and blow up another thing real good. The problem is lining all those things up can be a challenge, depending on the list, and Jordan's MSU eel list does not necessarily provide good opportunities for all of those abilities, but we'll see what we can do.
Sweet. For me, as you said, heavy MSU here, playing Luke Morton's Idoneth Deepkin list from the recent Warhammer community article highlighting kind of MSU builds. Now, Luke is a super talented Deepkin player, so shout out to him for this list. And it's a pretty highly aggressive Idoneth Deepkin list. It has all the staples that kind of you'd expect right now. Volturnos with the Void Chill Darkness mount trait for the -1 to hit. The addition of the Eidolon of the Storm after the Morathi book changes with the Cloud of Midnight, of course, as I've been loving. Both super tanky and super killy, so he's fun and buffs the rest of your army. And then I have the Soul Strider off the board with a unit of 3 Morrsarr eels, 2 units of 3 Aetherwings just for zoning and being a nuisance. And then in addition to the 1 unit off the board, I have 6 more units for a total of 7 units of 3 Morrsarr guards. So super MSU, even though I kind of looks like some units might be bigger because they're stacked on top of each other. They're all MSU. So pretty dangerous list here. Again, to talk about kind of the specifics of the list, obviously we know what I want to do here. This Deepkin build really just wants to really double down on that turn 3 attacking at the start of the combat phase, whereas some more balanced lists and lists I typically play are, in my opinion, a little more balanced where they can play the game, not necessarily relying on that, but this list definitely builds towards that. I don't have any screening units besides the 2 Aetherwings, so you're going to be able to get into my Morrsarr guard, where typically I can screen you out with Ishlayan or different things, but none of that cutting, theoretically cutting all the fat from the list and just going, pure aggro. And it is dangerous. We definitely know that. So we'll see kind of how it performs and then kind of talk about the trade-offs compared to, some other lists and options.
All right. And then we all, as always, picked auxiliary objectives. So I chose prized possession. Going to try and keep my Archregent alive with his artifact. And then I picked the bait, which I'm throwing on this unit of ghouls. If Jordan kills that unit of ghouls, I'll get my objective.
It's a unit you expect to get killed and die.
Yeah.
You might as well get a free, auxiliary objective point out of kind of just their only purpose.
Yeah.
For me, I similarly chose prized possession. Having the Cloud of Midnight on the Eidolon again makes him super resilient and tanky. So want to keep him alive throughout the game. Obviously want to do that anyways because he has an awesome aura. And then my second auxiliary objective was Marked for Death, making you choose one of your units for me to try and kill.
So I will choose the unit of ghouls as well. It means I can't deny Jordan's, but it means he also can't deny mine, or we both don't get it. Yeah, if it was where I could also get a point for denying yours, maybe I choose a different unit, but I don't have many survivable units,
yes.
So.
But my list was like 10 plus drops. I didn't even count. You definitely outdropped me here. So you are going to have choice of how the game starts.
And I'll give it to you.
Sounds good. So with that, we will be going into turn 1 with Deepkin going first. All right, so a really quick turn 1 for me with Deepkin. Quick note: right after our introduction, Alex realized that he only deployed half of his flayers on the board.
Yeah, it was 2 units of 6. I had said it was 2 units of 3. So if suddenly there's more flayers on the board, that's why.
Yeah, so we were like, this seems really imbalanced. And that's why. So Alex has 2 units of 6 flayers rather than 3, so a lot more power on the board now, which obviously kind of impacted my strategy. No real difference in terms of deployment or the start of the game. I just would have been potentially doing different things with my turn. In this case, though, I just moved up a unit of Aetherwings to the center objective. It's It's not the one worth 3. That was one of the other ones. Just to grab that extra point, take an early lead, draw you out to deal with them. Otherwise, they played pretty defensively. Now, you can move so fast with your units, so you're potentially going to be zipping across the board, getting into stuff right away and starting to wreck it. And that's part of the reason why I'm trying to spread out a little bit. Now, I'm still pretty condensed on my half of the board, but with priority, if you fly over here, you're risking just losing a unit, potentially just trading for 3 Morrsarr. It's going to be tough for me to chew through those units of 6 flayers, especially the fact that I need to chew through 2 of them. And I'm really especially now need to double down on that turn 3 to really be the big turn where I take a big chunk out of your army. So I'm kind of trying to delay the game a little bit, or at least force you to overextend and potentially, if you don't win priority, be in a bad position, right? Because I am winning ties, being that you gave me first turn. Points-wise, I'll score my 3 own objectives and your 1 center one, putting me at 4 points for the round as we go into your turn 1 with Flesh Eater Courts.
All right. All right, so Flesh Eater's turn with full units of flayers on the board. It was much more successful.
Yep.
So the Archregent cast the plus D3 attacks. I got a 3.
And that's big.
Yeah. Definitely made a difference. Then he also cast the Deranged Transformation, which added their wounds characteristic, their move. So those flayers were moving twice because of the battalion, plus 4 inches because of...
Each time, yep.
Yeah, so they were right up in there. And then I double moved the non-general Vargulf up so that he could provide the pile and attack twice aura and the deathless minions, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I got them into 2 units of 3 Morrsarr, and with the 2 activations, I managed to wipe them out.
Taking some casualties. I got my shocks off and killed 1.
Yeah, so 2 units worth of shocks got into them. I probably could have done that differently, stayed outside of an inch and piled
into the second unit.
That would have been smarter. The horrors here failed their charge, but that was fine because the Vargulf made his and he cleaned up the 3 Aetherwigs pretty easily. I moved those ghouls over to just more solidify that objective. I moved these ghouls over to solidify this one and provide a bigger area of denial for Jordan's units that are off the board still. Then at the end of my turn, I brought these ghouls on to, again, deny Jordan getting into the back of me. So I managed to take my objective back. So I score my 3. Plus, I then took Jordan's 3-pointers, so I got 6 points this round.
Now, I mentioned trying to spread my units out to avoid your double activations or piling into 2 units, and clearly I was too close here, I think, in hindsight, obviously. You were just able to spread out into both of those. But realistically, if not for the +3 attached, you probably couldn't have done that. Because even with the double activation, you just barely killed both those units. It was like only 1 or 2 wounds away from having some guys survive. And again, without the +3, you couldn't have done that, but getting the +3 is super helpful there, obviously. And puts me in a real scary spot right now. Well, big priority roll here. Obviously, way more on my back foot than I expected to be before the game started. When when you were thinking it was only units of 3.
Yeah.
So I could be on my back foot real quick right here. So we will go into priority roll. That is a 6. I win ties. So that's what I need. And I think it could have got real out of hand if I didn't win priority here. You're potentially at least getting into, taking out another 3 guys, probably Volturnos too on a double activation. You're bringing back bodies here. So even if I shock another one to death, you're still probably at 5. Meaning, you probably are killing both those units. So very thankful here. I'm going to have the opportunity now to try and deal with some of your stuff before the game gets out of hand. So we will go into round 2 with Deepkin going first. All right, so after Deepkin turn 2, lot to unpack here. Throwing those guys in my face, you present so many threats in this list, right? Not only your 2 big units of flayers, those are the big ones, but you also have both the heroes that I need to account for too, especially this guy being a torpedo, but they're bringing back models, right? So I knew coming into this turn, I was going to need to deal with what's over here, this flayer unit. And then I needed to take care of this guy because he's also, your general, adds a lot of synergy in terms of, the abilities to the rest of your army.
Yep.
And that's just dealing with your army. Obviously, also wanting to score points here. So what I ended up doing is throwing 3 guys over there, hit your primary objective. I did 3 points for that one. Deep struck over here, hit the tendrils over here, took that, get another point there. So I'll score 4 for those and only these 2. So I score 6 for the round.
Yeah.
I lost 2 guys there. I'm +1, so on a 6, he runs. He's fine. But put a lot of pressure on me, and then it really did not kind of go to plan. I maybe overextended a little bit in terms of what I was trying to do with my turn, but kind of was going for the go big plan, which was taking objectives, putting pressure on you, because I ended up wanting to obviously take care of your flayers. What I tried to do was tag both ends of this big unit of 4 guys at the time, so that I could attack first somewhere else and not taking as many attacks back. I really didn't get the charge I needed to fly over them.
Yeah.
So you would have been getting all your attacks in anyways. Those guys ended up just sitting in the middle so I could get all my shocks in. So that was bad. And I, again, wanted to kill this hero. He's your general. He's a torpedo in terms of he on his own will just shoot across the board, kill Volturnos, and especially in this build. This build is all about turn 3, especially on, in this matchup. And fast combat armies, surprisingly, are actually one of Deepkin's biggest challenges. Anyway, so going to this hero, +1 hit because he's 8 wounds or less, so I should reliably kill him. I went into it, I'm like, okay, I should reroll 1s here. I'm on 2s and 2s. I should give myself reroll 1s to hit just to be safe, even though I should kill him pretty easily. On my 9 attacks, I ended up rolling 5 1s. So the reroll 1s, I shouldn't have said anything and I wouldn't have rolled all those 1s, but because I said it, I rolled a bunch of 1s and ended up getting 6 wounds on him. He survived with 2.
Well, so you did 9 wounds, but then he saved 3 with the death save.
Saved 3, 8 wounds, so he could have saved 1 and still died, but here he then got to double activate into the Eidolon, putting 7 wounds on him. So that was really bad for me just in terms of not killing him. Now, the fact that I'm still alive is okay because going into your turn, I have Cloud of Midnight.
Yeah. So
he's not attacking. If he retreats out, he's not doing anything. So at least I nullified him for another turn. But the real bad thing, not getting kind of the charges and spreading out as I wanted to here, and also not getting this 3rd unit in, meant that your flayers got to attack first, double pile in. Every model's getting into a unit there, so I was, couldn't get the positioning I wanted. And killed 5 out of 6 eels, which is just bad. So in hindsight, maybe I don't go in with the Eidolon over there, but not feeling great about it. Taking points, so at least I'm scoring 6 here. But obviously you're going to have a chance to, kind of take it to me this turn and deal some damage, but...
I'm getting 4 back, so at least, minimum, 1 and 3. We'll be tied after my turn at the minimum.
Yeah. Flesh Eater Courts has always been a tough opponent for me with Deepkin, especially here in a high drop list. When Flesh Eater Courts was big in the meta, I actually skewed, partly because of them and armies like Ironjaws, to the lower drop Achillean Core builds. Because these guys, Feck and Ironjaws, those armies, Slanesh, were so prevalent in the meta, needed to outdrop them because I can't take the double turn, right? Yeah. If I had have lost priority, it would have just been game over. You still have the potential of a double turn here, so it still could really...
Double turn going into turn 3, though, so it mitigates some of it.
Yes, that's very true. But not being on the charge. Here, I'd rather Ishlay in if I'm not on the charge with guys, right?
Yeah.
So, where we are, it's just, Flesh Eater Courts turn 2, and we'll see what happens.
All right. All right.
Crazy trouble turns.
Yeah. Did not go how I was hoping. Sent these horrors in after retreating the Vargulf out, after making the mistake of not double moving the Vargulf onto your 3-point objective.
You didn't need to make 2 big run rolls, but you had the chance to.
Yeah. I brought back 2 flayers over there. They killed the 1 eel and they lost. I mean, one guy only had 1 wound left anyways.
And Volturnos did 5. So.
Yeah, so he killed 1 1/4 flayer. These flayers moved up with help from the Archregents plus movement spell. They shot off an eel with their screams and then failed their charge, so they just stood there like a bunch of morons.
But take the objective.
They take the objective, yes. Yeah. These 3 horrors got in, but because of activation, Jordan killed off 2 of them before I ever got to swing, and I only managed to kill 1 in return. These horrors went into the Eidolon twice and did 4 wounds out of the 5 he had remaining.
Yep.
Very disappointing.
I had made a kind of risky play actually with the Eidolon. Based on where the combats were, I actually chose not to use my Cloud of Midnight item. Now, that would have guaranteed he survived, but not doing it kind of put pressure on you with the order of activation.
Yeah.
Because you probably would have attacked there first, killed an eel or 2, not died in return, and taken that objective. But because I didn't use the Cloud of Midnight, even if I lose my Eidolon there, you're forced to do there, I at least deny you an objective. That was kind of the play. I really needed some luck to go my way at this point in the game. I can't spend my Cloud of Midnight for 3 horrors because you win priority here, and he's dead, so it doesn't matter. It did no benefit of me saving it.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the risk here because now it's big. He survived, so if I get turn, I have retreat and charge so I can be on the attack. Or if you get it, I still have my Cloud of Midnight item up, so you have to consider him. So risky play, but now that it did pay off, so it puts you in a bind. An interesting game still. Mm-hmm. So you'll score 3 points?
5. My 2 plus your 3.
My 3-point was over there.
3. So I'll just 3. Yeah.
So 3 points. So it's a 1-point game to my advantage right now. Going into turn 3. So this is going to be an interesting turn. Obviously, it's going to get decided here one way or another, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a lot to ask because I still can't deal with that unit very well. Yeah, we'll see where we end up, but we'll start off with the priority roll. 2.
6.
So it's all yours.
Oh, that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what the Flesh Eaters can do.
All right, sounds good. Turn 3.
Alright. I was able to double move the Vargulf over onto there, charge in, kill the 3 Aether Wings. So I got Jordan's 3-point objective. Yep. I moved the ghouls up just to get more bodies on here. I retreated that Vargulf out just to keep bodies on there. I shot off the 1.5 remaining eels with the Flayer's Screams, and then charged in and cleared up the Soul Scryer. I tried to move the Archregent and then make a charge because he has an artifact that does D3 mortals on the charge, so that would have helped me clear bodies off here, but I failed the charge, and then I spent the command point and failed the reroll. Yeah. These guys didn't get to attack because Jordan attacks at the start of phase and also can use his Cloud of Midnight at the start of the phase. So even though he attacked, I still could not. And then this guy just did a couple of wounds, but not enough to kill anything.
So you'll store 6 points here. These 3, and then obviously my 3.1. I had to make it this one. I could have made it this back one, but your other Vardolf could just easily ran there with the double with the double move.
Yeah.
So at least if I made it here, it was forcing you to bring something over to take it. Because of the 3 Aether Wings, he obviously retreating out couldn't attack them. Mm-hmm. So you score 6 points here, putting you ahead 5 right now. I'm not out of it. Obviously, this is my high tide round, so I will get to do some attack buffing and then attacking at the start of the phase again. But I don't have a lot of units to spread out to different targets, so that's the tough part right now. But we will be going into bottom of the round with Deepkin coming up. Alright, finishing up round 3. Pretty quick turn, just moving and fighting. And I'm doing all the attacking because I attacked at the start of the phase and was buffed up with extra attacks. So, no real play at these 2 objectives this turn. Now, if I had have been closer up with these 3 eels, potentially could have gone for one of those units and really would have been a much better use of my extra attacks in a high tide. It's a good example of why I don't like playing for guaranteeing it. Here, you know it. You can stay back on turn 3, plan around it, and I'm just not able to make good use of it. So if that's your only play, sometimes you just don't get much value out of it. But here, at least retreated, charged with the Eidolon, finally killing the Smash Bat. Volturnos went in and killed the other Vardolf, and then these guys just minced the last 2 Flayers. With them 2 finishing off the Horror, which is big because now your Archregent is going to have a tougher time taking that objective back. Not that it's impossible. But he has to do 5 wounds. Very likely can, especially with D3 on the charge. But at least it's more of a challenge. And wanted to obviously stay on that objective. So no reason not to kill that guy.
Yep.
But I score 4 points only, meaning I am down 1 point. So it's an interesting game still. And we can just jump into the priority roll. 5. So obviously here I'm going to take it, just for the sake of scoring, make it harder for you to take some of mine. So we will be going into top of round 4 with Deepkin going first. Alright, so Deepkin turn 4, taking the turn. Obviously, it wasn't looking good just in terms of spread. Actually, just your struggles are going to be capping objectives with the units you have. But it didn't necessarily go how I wanted. I ended up moving all this stuff up to take care of those horrors. If I had have gotten all 4 bodies on the objective, I would have taken the objective, got the extra point for that one. Spoiler alert, Snake Eyes on my charge for the Eidolon. So he didn't get in, so he only had 3 bodies on there, meaning we tied and you keep possession. The reason I didn't get to reroll that is because I spent my command point actually auto-running Volturnos for 6. The thought process behind it is these guys, they can't be everywhere, right? They're a great unit. You can easily take this objective, but now if you take that objective for the victory point, because I moved him on this, you're losing this one. So these guys, to keep this point, have to stay there, deal with Volturnos for no gain, really, just for even. Now, if you leave that one, come here, you can do that, you still get a point, you lose this point. Who knows? Good decision? It was a decision. Was it worth the command point in the 6? No. My other option was actually just moving Volturnos up, getting him charged in there too, just for the extra redundancy. Didn't think I would need it, but in hindsight, when it comes down to those fickle moments that could decide a game, you just got to make damn sure that you're going to be able to do what you need to do. And because I wasted that command point there, not necessarily wasted, but spent it there, didn't have it where I needed it. Outcome is I lose 1 victory point that I could have had going into the final round. Over there, I could have gone into the Archregent, but I didn't feel confident about attacking and killing him, and he could have killed them back. Well, at least this point, if you want to take that objective, he'll have to go into them, pulling him towards the edge of the board. Otherwise, you just vacate that objective as well. Neither of us really have much left. You have 2 bigger units, but just not a lot of places to kind of apply that force. With that, though, bottom of round 4, going into Flesh Eater's turn.
Okay. So.
Coming down to the wire.
Yeah, absolutely. The ghouls marched up with +3 attacks, so 5 attacks per ghoul, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They managed to kill off 2 eels. The Archregent charged in, did D3 with his artifact and rolled a 3, so killed off an eel and then killed the other one in combat. The flayers flew over the building and then charged back just so I could get them more on this side of Volturnos there. So they charged into him. I went in and got 3 mortals through because of the huge hit penalty.
-1, yeah. It's huge against them.
Yeah, when you're already hitting on 4s,
yeah.
hitting on 5s is brutal. But I did manage to take back all 3 of my objectives. So I scored 3 here, meaning that we're tied
yeah.
going into a roll-off.
I also used Battle Shock, lost 2 models here. That is my banner, so I'll have a reroll. He's perfectly fine. So, yeah, going into round 5 now, it is actually a really close game. We'll roll priority here, and I think we can just talk it out. The last turn. A 6.
Yeah, with you winning it.
Yeah, so here with me winning priority puts me in the driver's seat in terms of dictating how the game goes. You know, talking things through, obvious move is pulling Volturnos out here. I don't want to let him die on my turn so you can run away and keep that objective. So he stays there. You stay and deal with him or run and lose the objective. Over here, there's actually a couple options. So one would have been, if it was only about my storing, I could have easily just popped these 2 over here, instantly scored 4 points. Problem with that, and again, this is just from us talking it through earlier, is these ghouls actually are in a run range of this back objective. So if I made that play take that one, your ghouls would have a chance to run to this one if the Archregent killed both of them and took that objective back.
Yeah.
There is a decent enough chance that you could take those
and
both
he's
points.
only got 2 wounds left, so it's not that
No,
improbable.
exactly. So you'd have to split attacks, which is tough, but you have a double pile-in still, so you have at least 1 command point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Again, you would have an Arcane Bolt. So with that all in mind, the fact that you could actually kill and take that one back, the smarter play would be going in here with these guys. Again, retreat Volturnos out. There's no reason to keep him in. He's already in combat, so I would just move this guy over here just to make a charge. I have 1 command point, so I can make a reroll this time, but I don't need it, thankfully. And then I would, charge him in. I'd get to heal D3, healing 2, going up to 4 wounds. And I can spend that last command point just to reroll once to hit with the Eidolon, just to ensure I kill those ghouls, because I do have to take that point back, really, to win the game. So I'll be at +1 attack because I'm on the charge. On 3s, rerolling 1s, and I'm sure glad I did that, as he's been rolling a lot of 1s this turn here with 3 here. Converting 2 of them. And then I have 3 at Ren 2, 3 damage, so that's 9 ghouls there, and that's the unit. So could have been bad without that rerolling 1s. Again, that's something actually playing with the Eidolon a lot lately. You have to keep in mind is he's not as consistent as some of the other units. Now he's on 3s, sometimes 2s against heroes, and then 2s to wound, which is great. But he doesn't get any of the reroll 1s on the charge. Because Volturnos only applies to Kellian units, and the dhom-hain reroll on the charge one is only for Kellian and Namarti units. He's neither, so he doesn't get either of those. So for him to have reroll 1s, you have to spend the command point. I'll take 4 points here. I don't think there's much you can do besides scoring your 2 points that you're already on.
Yeah, so...
Wow. What were our auxiliaries? The bait and the targeted march for death. So we both achieved that, killing those 10 ghouls.
Yep.
Prize possession, you could, in your round 5, go to kill him to deny me that one. You would have pretty easily be able to do that if you wanted to. And you would have your prize possession over there.
Yep.
So you did both your auxiliaries to just my 1 in this situation, and it was So obviously it came down to the wire here. 7 models on the table between us. Definitely a bloody one. What do you think the keys to the game were for you?
I would have liked to have made the priority roll, and 1 into 2 would have been nice. I would have pretty much tabled you at that point, I think.
It would have been real bad.
Yeah. I did get the priority 2 into 3, but it's super mitigated going into 3 because you're attack first.
And failing to charge with the flares because you had no hero for the reroll. That hurt you. It just kept them there for another turn.
Yeah.
Here, let me just tie them back there all the rest of the game.
Yeah, because they would have been out of there an extra turn earlier. Having to bring on the ghouls in the back because you held back your deep strike, I would have preferred to bring down another Vargulf. It would have been nice to have a hero over there to lend support to the flares. Just not being used to this list, there's a lot to consider having to move things twice. You've really got to think a step ahead of where things need to be in the future. So playing more with this, I think getting a familiarity with how to do that will definitely benefit me.
But this is definitely a matchup where I feel like the lower drops and who chooses turn 1 actually dictates so much.
Yeah.
It puts you in the driver's seat of waiting potentially for that double turn that's game winning, right? And that's actually a big reason why in 2019, again, I ran a Killing Core ton because of your Fects, your Slaneshes, Iron Jaws, stuff like that can really dish out the damage in combat. We saw with a high drop combat list, I'm on the back foot so much. Now, 2020's meta and kind of going forward, the meta has shifted so much with shooting that your Fects, Slanesh, Iron Jaws have kind of dropped off and they're not seeing it near as much.
Yeah, by the time you get to the higher rounds, they're not going to be facing you because they've been knocked off.
Yeah, so the meta is shifting to their detriment actually has really allowed Deepkin to kind of ascend and right now, especially, a lot of their predators being, the Fects, Slaneshes, all those other combat armies that have different tricks, whether it's the attrition. Here you have a ton of speed, and especially being low drop, that's huge. So being able to give away the turn, going in, and play for the double is potentially game winning. Again, if you had won that turn 2 priority, it could have been over real quickly. And that's a good lead in to talk about these lists and kind of our thoughts about, again, these meta lists, right? We wanted to test them out, give them a run. Not that the MSU Eels is a new concept at all. It is a different game now. It's a different meta now. We have the addition of the Eidolon, who's a great pick. I love to play him in the center of the board. All 4 of these objectives we were fighting on, and all my units were getting +1 to wound, which is huge. And especially with the Cloud of Midnight, we saw his resiliency. Surviving on 1 wound and then dancing around. Obviously was fortunate that kind of risky play that I made paid off for me. Other than that, what is there to talk about? It's a lot of eels, a lot of punching power, not a lot of resiliency. If you can get into 2 units at a time, it hurts me bad. Here you got into these 2, could have been devastating. Whereas if I had to push that 1 unit up further, could have only gotten into 1. Even if you take that objective, I have a lot more power on the board. So that was an error with this kind of a list. You really can't let an army like Fett or with smashing and bashing, you can't let them kill multiple units and different tricks like that. Otherwise, again, Morrsarr are great. We all know what they do. I still feel that there's no reason not to drop 2 units of Morrsarr for 2 units of Ishlayan. You get 60 points, you get a command point, and you're 10 points under potentially getting a triumph, right? I think the list only improves from that. I like the versatility of having different units and tools. Obviously, we can talk about, the sharks and turtles are both great also, but even just eels for eels, I don't see why you don't take some defensive eels.
Yeah, the ignoring rend is strong. Unless you have a lot of mortal wounds to take care of them.
Yeah. And there are a prevalent amount of mortal wounds in the meta, but if you have units that are just meant to die, why not save 30 points if a unit's just going to die? It gets me an extra command point, which lets me reroll a charge or extra attacks on 3 units. I don't see the personal benefit in that. The only caveat to that is I would say it does simplify the game for the Deepkin player. Because I don't have to make any decisions, besides, where things are positioned, I don't have to worry about screens. I know you're going to kill units. I've accepted you're going to kill units. So I don't have to think about what screening, what zoning. I can do it with whichever unit is in the best position to do it. Again, I'm not trying to maximize the best benefit of this unit's strengths versus this unit's strengths. They all do the same thing, so I don't even have to worry about that. So it's like, it simplifies the game to some degree. Still think, run 2 units, 3 units of Morrsarr, 60, 90 points right there. You get to add some different tools. I think it only makes the army stronger. In every matchup, is it the right decision? No, but I think it's better in more matchups.
I like this list. I would definitely run it again, see if I can get more familiar with it. It definitely has legs. Being fast and just being, able to get things where you need them is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I still do love my big dragons. Playing Gristlegore, where you can pile in on death. Like, it's easy mode for Feck. You trade units and you're guaranteed to get something back. This requires a little more finesse, and I like it. And I think I'll try it definitely again, but it takes more thinking and practice than just throw dragons forward and you win.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a great build. I think it would be interesting to see, this list evolve. You ran 2 of these battalions and you did that. I wonder what you could do, kind of maybe min-maxing, changing some points around if there would be room, or if it'd be possible to run it with just 1 battalion and a big dragon or something. Because you could send the big dragon up with that unit of 6 players that's double moving potentially, still giving you a hero next to them. But it's definitely scary. It definitely has a lot of tools to it.
Mm-hmm. Just having the 1 summon is odd.
But 2 interesting lists. I think yours definitely has a lot of legs. Mine, this Deepkin list is obviously a strong list. There's no doubt about that. I don't think it would be how I choose to play the army. Again, wanting to be a little more diversified and feel less reliant on that turn 3 and be able to attrition better with some different units. But it made for a great game today. 2 heavy-hitting combat armies, and fortunately, again, that turn 2 priority went my way, kept me in the game. So with that, we'll wrap it up here. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone for watching, and an especially big thank you to our premium team members. You guys are the best. You make this channel possible and really help continue to let us evolve and grow and improve. And with that, we'll see you guys in another battle report soon.
Until next time.
Cheers.